Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast. My name is Shanae Howard. This is Tommy Shelby.
Hello.
And this is Ryan Robinson.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Every week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff.
Yeah,
And
That's true.
yeah. Every week
Every week.
for like 5 years.
Not that long, but not that far off.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have been playing?
Well, so I want to tell you guys about a game called Conan Exiles.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my review.
Wait, is that the one that has the dong slider?
On the PC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also the PAL versions of the console has the ding dongs.
Yeah.
That game's real bad. That game is not fun.
And you're a fan of these survival games. I'm not.
I love a good survival game. Conan Exiles is not a good survival game. Played for about, I want to say, 4 or 5 hours with my girlfriend trying to build a base and eke out a living in the harsh lands of Hyboria. And it was 5 hours of not fun.
Yeah, more like Laboria, huh?
Exactly.
Get it, Shanae?
Yeah, like
You get-
boring.
Yeah.
Like the
No, like laborious.
Yeah. You know what laborious means?
Shanae?
enlighten me.
I mean, now that you're a Catholic.
Oh, that's right. Shanae's a Catholic now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations on your confirmation.
I conversion.
Yeah.
The church.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I converted today.
I'm back into No Man's Sky. Love that game. I don't need to say much more about that. You know what No Man's Sky is by now. And playing a lot of, still working on Monster Hunter. So I got 2 more trophies to go. Just 2 more.
But you've had 2 more for a minute now.
No, the last, I had 3 more at one point.
Okay.
And that one was, because I had one that was really easy to get. It was just do 50 arena quests. I did that. So now I just have the 2 more. I imagine I'll still be working on those trophies when the PS5 comes out.
Sure.
This is the way that the numbers, the dice rolls are not in my favor, like at all. I really feel like I'll still be working on that when PS5 comes out. And also been playing Far Cry 5.
Oh, yeah. I saw you playing that the other night.
Yeah, and also Tom and I played Mortal Kombat X the other night, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was Jack Briggs.
Jackie.
Yeah.
I was Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good game. Tom is concerned about Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah. I've voiced that on here before.
Yeah.
I'm still excited for it.
We'll see what happens on the 23rd. Which, by the way, Shanae, I think that there should be a Mortal Kombat 11 party. You should attend and play Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to watch the movie and the show, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you watched the show?
Not the show.
You should actually
Just-
watch the first season of that show.
Just
Yeah.
the web series and the movie.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the web series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Not the cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cartoon has no blood in it.
No, this had blood in it for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom?
Well, first, thank you for bringing this wine. Shanae's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Tell us what it's called.
Josh.
It's called Josh.
Josh. We're
So
drinking.
get yourself a bottle of Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
I've been playing 2 games mostly. Metrico Plus. You guys ever played Metrico? I know Ryan hasn't. Shanae, have you ever played Metrico?
No.
Okay, so Metrico was a Vita exclusive. It's no longer that. And the Vita version of Metrico used all of the Vita's functions. So like the camera, the microphone, the back touch, the front touch, all that shit, right?
Like Tearaway?
Yeah. I think Tearaway does a better job of using the Vita functions, but yes. Metrico Plus takes all that out. So it can be on other consoles, you know? And I actually like it more. So it's a 2D platformer. I guess you could call it a puzzle platformer with a strong emphasis on math. So you see things broken up into different fractions, and you're shooting things at different specific angles to accomplish these tasks to progress farther and farther. And it's all about cause and effect. So you'll get to a point where you need to raise a platform, right? Or make a set of stairs out of these separate platforms, and they all look like they're part of a bar graph, you know?
Okay.
But in order to get those platforms to raise, you have to do something, and it's different from screen to screen, right? So it might be each time you die, a platform raises, or it might be jumping to the left raises a platform while walking to the right lowers it again. You know, like shit like that. Super smart game, severely underrated. More people should play it.
I've also been playing a couple math games.
Frog Fractions.
No, it's just like mobile ones that, not at all gameplay like that. It's either
Math Blaster.
Math Blaster 5000. Yeah.
You don't need a lot of math for Metrico. Like if you're not good with math, you can still be good at Metrico.
I just honestly like math. So
Yeah.
like one of them is just like straight up, like it's pretending to be gameplay, but it's just straight up like multiplication tables and like you get achievements. For, like,
That's called edutainment. We
Yep.
did an episode on that a few years back.
Yeah. No, I like. I don't know. I just like it's been. I've been having some issues with like keeping my anxiety at like a pretty steady level.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of moments where it's been spiking randomly.
Yeah.
And so I've been using those math games to like help calm me down because like it's something that actually like I'm good at, and because
Sure.
I'm good at it, I enjoy it, and it helps me like get grounded again.
Sure.
Right.
Also, the Ace Attorney trilogy, the original 3 games,
Hell
came
yeah.
to Switch. Well, they came to multiple platforms, but I've been playing it on Switch. It's great. It's still great. And my daughter's playing it, and she's loving it too.
Phoenix Wright is the first visual novel that I've played and enjoyed thoroughly.
Well, you know, we've talked about the visual novel genre on the show many times because Sinead's a big fan of them.
Yeah.
And I've said in the past, like there has to be some more things for me to do for me
Right.
to really get in. So like Danganronpa, which obviously Danganronpa is very similar to Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. So those are on our Switches now, Sinead, if you want to play that.
You know what I saw? I saw the Octopath Traveler's coming to computer.
Yeah.
I want-
Also, people are like $30 for this whole. It's 3 games.
3 games.
It's
That's
$10 a
$10
game, and like
And Phoenix Wright is a lot of games.
yeah, the first one's like fucking 16 hours.
Yeah.
You know.
You pay $10 for that.
Yeah.
It's not even $1 an hour. It's less
Right.
than.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So-
buy it.
There's that math. You put that math to work just then.
Thanks.
Good job, man.
I actually like.
Oh, and Spelunky. Been playing a lot of
We played
Spelunky.
Spelunky the other night.
What's
or last
Spelunky?
night. You never. Oh wow.
You know what Spelunky is?
Cool.
No.
Spelunky is like one of the more popular roguelikes.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that deep into it, but over the past week, I've been putting a lot more time because I like Derek Yu quite a bit, the game's developer, and because Spelunky 2 looks super great. You know, so I'm trying to get a feel for it, and I'm slowly getting better and better and learning what items do and progressing farther and farther.
Yeah, roguelikes are never anything like I've ever sought out. Like if I've ever played any, it's just like I happen to come across them or somebody else is playing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not familiar.
So my biggest problem with most modern day
Well,
roguelikes.
hold on, Tom. Tell Shanae what Spelunky is.
It's a modern day roguelike. It's a 2D side scrolling roguelike where you're like this little explorer and you're going through this like cave system.
I want to be.
And you look like a little chibi Indiana Jones almost, you know. And yeah, you've got like so many hit points, which you can get more hit points by like there's a little woman.
Mhm.
So if you save her in each level, you get like another heart.
Tom
I-
killed her a few times. on this
I was like, oh no, sounds like it's gonna go a bad route. Okay, saving her is good. Got it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's hard, but it's fair. Like
Yeah.
you die a lot, but every time you die, you know what you did wrong, you know, and it's fun. There's a bunch of traps and shit and monsters and all that, and yeah, it just plays super well. What I dislike about most games in the genre is the procedural generation, but like here, I don't know what kind of wizardry Derek Yu has figured out here, but like whatever, and it's not randomly generated; it's procedurally generated.
Yeah.
Whatever random level you get, it's typically pretty smart, you know, and works well. So I like it because of that.
So like from games that you suggested last week, I really do like Baba Is You.
Yes, you played it.
Yes.
Oh yes.
I've played a lot of it actually, and
Did you find Kiki?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, I think so.
Little pink guy, Kiki is you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple levels with him, like where it's Kiki in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've actually also suggested it to there's actually quite a few of my coworkers at my job that like we are like allowed to have like
A Switch or whatever.
Switch
Yeah.
or like play like or
What a
like watch
cool-
movies.
What a cool job.
Yeah.
I used to play Vita at work. That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, maybe I can get you a job there.
Sure. Or I could do it on my own.
Yeah, you could probably do it on your own. That would probably end up better.
2 fucking Who loops.
Don't fucking dox me, Tom.
I'm sorry.
So
I'll cut it out
Thanks.
in post.
So you can have like your Switch at work. So I've actually, so a lot of my coworkers that like I'm friends with that I have Switches, like or that have Switches, I've been suggesting that to that.
Thank you.
The other game that you suggested that I'd play, the one where it's like a story and it's like each day, and you say you've been playing a day like
Night in the Woods.
Night in the Woods. Could not really get into it.
Wow, that's surprising.
I made it a couple days. Like I'm back in the town. I've like run into my old friends.
I hear that story's supposed to be super relatable to people in our age group.
I mean, I guess it depends on your life experiences.
Yeah.
Did you find the arm? Did you poke it with a stick?
No.
Oh.
Like, I think I gave it like 3 or 4 days.
So you haven't even done crimes yet?
There's crimes?
Yeah.
Cool.
No.
You and your friend, you're like, let's do crimes.
Do crimes.
Do crimes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm into it.
I've like run into all of my friends. I've like talked to my parents a couple times. I've like
You play the bass?
yes. I was really, really bad at it. That's another reason is like I'm really bad at like rhythm games.
You don't have to do it. Like you don't have to be good at it.
So
you know?
like I just played the bass in my room to like practice the first time I
I
played
love
it.
that song.
And
The first song?
that I was really, really bad at it. Like
Yeah.
your first like and I thought that was supposed to be my introduction to it, but then later when I met up with my friends, they're like, "Oh, you should try out the bass."
Yeah.
And that song was much easier.
Yeah.
Much easier. And so I did pretty well at that song, which I was surprised about because like I normally am pretty bad at like rhythm games because I was bad when I did the practice. I was a lot better with the one in there, but I also am still not good at it. Like
My problem with playing it on the Switch was like I had to recalibrate my brain for like BAYX,
yeah,
you know, instead of ABXY.
yes, that was.
But once I adjusted to that, it was flying through them.
I could not adjust. Granted, I only played the bass 3 times.
Yeah.
So
Did you play the dungeon crawler, like the Diablo-like game that she has
No.
on her computer?
How
No?
many games are in this game?
I mean, just a few, but there's little things for you to do. Like you don't have to play that game at all, you know.
yeah,
But why would you not?
But like you like watched a lot of porn on your laptop, so like your friend has to fix it for you. And like once he fixes it for you, he's like, "Oh yeah, you remember that game we used to play together? Like I put it on there, blah blah," blah. And it's basically Diablo, you know,
Right.
like a really watered down Diablo.
Cool.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't get to that part. I just like I was playing it, and I was just pretty excited to get a save point so I can go like do something else, and then I'd get back to it. And I'm like, you know what? Like it's like Tom really likes this game. There has to be more to it. I just started it.
I mean, it's not for everybody, you know.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where like I get why you like it, and I get why other people would like it. I just could not get into it.
Shanae, how many hours have you put into this game?
Probably like an hour and a half. Hour?
Yeah, if you did like 3 days, probably something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I met all the friends. I met all the parents. I didn't. I played the bass. Like they like got me into their band.
Yeah.
One of the guys seems like he has a really big crush on me. Or not me, like as a person, but like the character you play. That's just the vibe I got from it.
Yeah.
And then so I'm still.
You run into your ex at a party at some point, and you like throw up and make a fool of yourself because you got too drunk.
Awesome. That's,
Always awkward.
That's really relatable.
Yeah.
Maybe not ex, but just crush.
Yeah.
My crush is there and just throwing up. So I've also still been working on the Kingdom Hearts Platinum. I'm getting closer and closer. And then
Corey and Sandusky might help you out with that.
Yeah.
what? I might hit them up, but I do know what I need to do. It's just the grinding to get there. And then I hooked up my Nintendo Wii for like a day and played Breath of the Wild again.
Oh, your Wii U.
Sorry, Wii U. That's what I meant. So I hooked up that and I played Breath of the Wild.
I'm glad. That's awesome.
After we talked about it, I was like, I really want to play it. And
I've
then,
been playing through it too. I'm almost done with it again.
And then my one of my coworkers that like sits right next to me, and quite often like we can choose where we like want to be at. We have a general area, but we can be wherever.
So you don't have like assigned seating?
No.
Like with
Okay.
Boost Mobile, they say it's not where you come from, it's where you at.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where you at?
Yeah.
They call it like hotel seating. Like you can be at any desk, you can use any computer.
That's what, just like in a hotel.
I liked having my own cubicle when I worked that sort of job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely.
Then you could spruce it up.
That would be kind of nice. But
Like you could have Caco Demon at work, you know? That'd make your day better.
Sure. Look at him.
Yeah, like other positions.
You can sit there and ponder what his 2 holes are for.
Yeah.
But so like I have so he normally sits like ends up just sitting next to me. So and he also play and we have the same schedule. We end up like taking a lot of our breaks and lunches together at the same time. And he also smokes cigarettes, which if you didn't know,
Don't say that on the show, Shanae.
Right.
I'm terribly addicted. But now that I have converted
To Catholicism.
Right.
it's gonna help me quit smoking.
Sure.
But so he just bought a Switch like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Lucky duck.
So he's been like really excited about games. And he so I got him into Baba Is You.
I'm so proud of you.
It's because of you.
It's just like it's a game that like I knew was good, right? But I was like, no one's gonna buy this, no one's gonna play it, and it's been blowing up. Like as far as that level of game, right? Like it was #1 digital Switch games for a while. You know, very happy for that team.
Well, he's like traditionally he's like a like fighting game fan or something like the Bloodborne, Demon Soul or Soul series. Like that's his like jam.
I had a Bloodborne dream recently.
Really?
More like a nightmare.
But yeah, so he either like plays stuff on PlayStation or like that's basically like what his jam is.
Yeah.
And so he just got a Switch like a week and a half ago. So it's been like super exciting talking to him. Like, and he got Breath of the Wild.
And it's hard because there's a lot of trash on there. You know.
Yeah.
Like it's good he has somebody like you to recommend good stuff to him.
Yeah, he actually like at one of our last smoking breaks was like, man, like I really like all the games you've been suggesting are super good and like made me feel really good. But I did give you credit, and I was like, yeah, like a lot of the Switch games that I do play are because of like one of the guys I do my podcast with.
Because I buy them. I'm your supplier.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
yes.
You're getting high on your own supply.
You're getting high on my own supply.
Yeah.
But I'm also like suggesting supplies to other people.
Okay.
Suggesting supplies.
Yeah. Friend prices.
I'm sorry. I want to mention this before I forget. Did either of you guys see that Capcom teaser?
For what?
Supposedly some compilation that they're doing.
Real quick, I just want to say he was like on the fence about getting Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, and I described both of them in my opinion, both of them, and he ended up getting Breath of the Wild.
To me, that is the better choice, but I think Odyssey's fantastic too.
Oh no! Like yeah, he's good. And it's also because I said I don't plan on playing Odyssey anymore, and I have it physically, and I said he could borrow it once he like has more times for games.
He's gonna lose it.
Okay, so tell me about this Capcom thing, Ren, because I don't know what you're talking about at all.
So, I saw this Capcom teased some new thing that they're doing, and it's a compilation. Like the last time they put out a compilation, it was the beat 'em up bundle,
Right.
and so it was a bunch of scrolling beat 'em ups. But they're also apparently they're gonna have that this new thing that they're doing is gonna have some of those in there, but it's also gonna have some like other games like that they've done too, like spanning across more genres than that.
Okay.
So there are gonna be some fighting games like there's some Darkstalkers in there.
Awesome.
But they also I also saw mention of their Alien versus Predator game.
Shut the arcade one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So like that.
And this is confirmed?
Yeah. Wait. Let me. Now, I don't know if it's confirmed, but like I've seen it all over the place.
So
I
for those that don't know, the arcade version of Alien vs. Predator has never been on a console.
Yeah.
The Super Nintendo version was similar, but nowhere near as good. One of the best beat 'em ups ever made.
Yeah. So I'd like to get some confirmation on it. I saw it right before I left and came over. But yeah, if that turns out to be true, I'm really excited.
I mean, I wouldn't be. It's like you and I talking the other night, right? Like between the Mega Man Legacy collections and the Disney Afternoon collection and the Street Fighter Anniversary collection, the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, like they keep doing more and more and more of them. I hope they continue doing that stuff.
Well,
man.
it's cool to see them putting more of their arcade hits like available to play at home, because there are a lot of games that they did for the arcade that never came to consoles.
Right, and these collections are pretty well done.
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter Anniversary was probably the laziest of them all, but like it still had like a bunch of great concept art to look through, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So if that turns out to be true, that I've been wanting to play that Alien vs. Predator game
Yeah.
for ever.
Yeah.
Like it's a fantastic game. So I hope it turned out to be true, and I'm also excited to see what else they're going to put on there.
I just want Darkstalkers back.
Well, see, that was another thing too, is because we were just talking about like either a new Darkstalkers or them doing another Darkstalkers collection.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if I'm wondering how many Darkstalkers they're going to put on there.
Well, I'd like to see them get into some of their later stuff. So
Yeah.
if they do like Darkstalkers 3 or like Power Stone or whatever, Rival Schools,
So I remember
I'd be super psyched for that stuff.
I remember because I mentioned the Darkstalkers collection that I had for PSP, and that basically had all the Darkstalkers games on it. So I'd like to see them do that again, but
And it's funny because it's such an easy thing for them to do.
yeah,
Because like they're not doing it, right? It's the same porting house that's doing all of them.
right.
But I can't imagine it costs them very much, and they got to see a big profit on all of them.
Yeah.
And Konami's dipped their toes in with the first Castlevania collection.
Sure.
Now they're doing 3 more collections.
Yeah.
But like Capcom has done such a better job. Like that first Castlevania collection is great. If you just want to play those games, it's great. But there's no like extras or anything like that,
Well, I feel like the Capcom collections I think they're curated better.
Yeah.
And there's more stuff around the edges for you. Whereas like it seems very much like
now like 6 Castlevania games is gonna be fucking badass, you know?
It just seems like the Capcom games they're not geared just toward people who want to play the games, but geared toward people who are fans of Capcom and their lineage. So that's really neat. So if this turns out to be like legit, then I'm gonna be really excited for it. But I've been seeing it like in a lot of places,
and I'd be surprised if it's not. Honestly, with their track record the past few years, I'd be surprised if it's not.
From what I'm understanding, it's not like it's not being released in the same format as the beat 'em up bundle though. It's being released. From what I read, it was like it's a plug and play kind of thing, like a fight stick thing. Yeah. So
that's. I mean, don't get me wrong.
But at the same time,
still tempted.
Right. I don't. But at the same time, I think it would be smarter. I hope that's not true, because I think it would be smarter just to release it like in the same way that they did the beat 'em up bundle.
It'd be less risky.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just excited for the Alien vs Predator game. I just really want to play that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this week, Ryan.
Huh?
You want to talk about Max Payne?
Okay, so I know that Tom is a little bit familiar with Max Payne.
Very little bit. I love Remedy.
Yeah.
Max Payne is kind of a blind spot for me.
Shanae, have you played any Max Payne games?
Have I played them personally? No.
Okay.
I played.
Max Payne 3. I watched a streamer
That doesn't count. Max Payne 3 doesn't count.
play some of it. And I after half an hour, I was like, I do not care about this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
played like the first half hour of the first one.
So I didn't. So your statement about 3 doesn't count. I don't know what that means.
I say that because it wasn't made by Remedy. It was made by Rockstar Games.
And
Okay.
I want to talk less about like who made each one and more about just those games.
Yeah.
So on that first note, though, Max Payne was my introduction to Remedy. And
What else has Remedy made?
Alan Wake.
Okay.
They're coming
I
out
did
with
play Alan
Control,
Wake.
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break,
Or was it Quantum Shift?
Quantum Break,
Quantum Break.
What else did they play? Or did they make
Quantum Break,
before that?
Max Payne,
Oh, I thought you said something else.
Alan Wake.
I thought you said something about Control.
Control is their next game,
Okay.
and it looks fucking awesome.
That game looks so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I think that
Federal Bureau of Control.
Yeah. That game's gonna be badass.
All right. So real quick,
Mm.
how many Max Payne games are there at this moment?
3,
So,
Also a movie.
which I will also talk about.
before you get further into it, just so you can educate me,
Sure.
Max Payne 1.
Mm-hmm.
What is 5 sentences maximum? What's the story like? What's like the general story scheme of it? And then also, what genre does it fall into?
So you want me to give you the answers to all of those in 5 sentences?
What genre does it fall into? Is just name the genre that it is like? Is it a roguelike? Is it like a first person shooter? What is it?
It's like a third person adventure shooter.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So Tom answered that question for Max Payne 1. What is the
Very linear.
What is the general story?
Okay, Max Payne is a cop. People kill his family.
Yeah.
He goes out for revenge.
Yeah.
You can say and put a comma in there. You can. I mean,
There's a drug.
Yeah. Maximilian.
is it
And-
Vertigo?
No.
Is it
And-
Mirakuru?
No. It is called Valkyr.
Oh.
And high level conspiracy is happening.
All right. So second game, same genre.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the storyline?
They're all
of
the
it?
same genre.
Even 3?
Yes.
They're all the same genre.
Okay. Does 1 and 2 play like 3?
No.
Okay.
If it's the same genre, how does it not play?
I mean, they're all 3 third person, and they all 3 shoot in all 3 of them.
Let me take you down the lineage, and then
All
I
right,
feel like
sorry.
all these questions will be answered in time.
Well, the second story too, and the third story, like 5
All these
seconds?
questions will be answered in time.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Educate this poor soul.
Okay. So, as I said before, Max Payne was my introduction to Remedy, and it was my introduction to the way that they design games and the way that they tell stories in those games. And as Tom pointed out, Remedy, Max Payne's 1 and 2, and Max Payne 3 were developed by 2 different. Like the third one was developed by Rockstar, and then it's apparent not just gameplay style, but also narratively too. So the first 2 games are told in a very the Max
Comic book.
Yeah, they're so basically Max the overarching theme with all of Max Payne, it is very much intended to be a sort of noir sort of presentation. The storytelling is evocative of noir, like very much like Maltese Falcon and The Big Sleep and stuff like that.
Is it?
It's like a lot of like narration and hyperbole and metaphors being used, like as Max is talking about like what is going on and like as he's experiencing things. So
Like, just to clarify and like make sure I get it, like obviously from the name LA Noire, it's influenced by noir films. Is it like similar in that aspect that like in that like kind of I guess like the universes are very similar in as far as rules and how people are and stuff
No
like that?
way. It's not
No.
like Eleanor has a very LA Confidential feel to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
And so there are
But I mean,
Max Payne in a weird way has more of like a fucking Casablanca feel,
Yeah.
even though it's like way
Okay.
more violent.
yeah. So
you
like
know?
I
because
think
like I have read like a lot of noir comic books, but like I don't think I'll read enough that I could like name names of comic books and y'all would know what I'm like referencing.
Huh, that's funny because we were just having a conversation before you showed up.
yeah about comic books.
Yeah.
Also, these require bottle openers.
Noir comic books, like what? You're reading Spidey Noir? Ooh.
Yeah. You know, Nicolas Cage played Spider-Man Noir in Into the Spider-Verse. You know who Nicolas Cage
I'll
is?
get you a bottle opener.
Thank you. All right. So I'll wait till Tom gets back because I don't want him to miss this.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. So the thing about the first 2 Max Payne games is that
Max Kane.
they are told in the presentation is very much like it's noir, but also noir in the way that it's kind of in a lot of ways it's kind of I see it as kind of noir satire, in that it's very it's evoking those things, but it's also very I don't want to use the word silly because it's kind of, but there are parts of it that are
It is silly though, right?
Yeah, they're-
like Max Payne's fucking Sam Lake. That's
Yeah.
silly.
So
you know.
So and it's like it's film noir, but also inspired by like those 80s and early 90s like Hong Kong movies, in terms of like the level of action that's involved in each of
Okay.
those games. So essentially, the first game starts out with Max, and he's in the New York subway because he's a New York City detective. So he's in a New York subway, and he runs into these guys who they know who he is, and they're kind of accosting him, right? So he finds himself in a violent confrontation with them, and it turns out it was a means of framing him for killing another police officer. And in so doing, this leads to the rest of the events unfolding in that Max is busy trying to clear his name of this wrongdoing, but in the process he finds that his family has been murdered. So it becomes less about clearing his name, and more about avenging the deaths of his wife and daughter.
He's the Punisher, you see.
Does he immediately know who killed his family, or is that something you have to find out?
So the person who actually killed his family is apparent right away.
Okay.
But so at that point it becomes less a concern about who killed his family and more about who set it up, who sent this person to kill his family.
Okay.
So that is where and that's kind of it falls into that whole, like I mentioned the drug earlier, and that there's a yes. Well, it's called Valkyr. Anyway, there's a whole subplot involving that, and that serves as the motive. This serves as the motivation for why they were able to get somebody to kill his family.
Sure.
But like I was saying before, a lot of the rapping in it it's like Tom mentioned, it's like told in a, like all the cutscenes are in a very comic book style. Like it's basically like photographs of people and someone drew over them. Kind of like, have you seen Scanner Darkly or
Yes.
What's the other one?
Waking Life.
It's basically like that.
Okay.
But like it's like still frames. And they're all voiced over, and they have like sound effects and everything.
Is it like still frames, as in like literally everything is still, or is it like Magna Carta where like the people come into frame but they don't move?
It's literally like a comic book with voiceovers.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what a comic book is?
I've heard of
You're
them.
the expert, right?
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Like, I know you guys don't read a lot, but
Yeah.
I know y'all don't.
As I'm sitting here in my fucking book club shirt.
I know you guys don't know how to read, but
so through and like at
Fuck you, Shanae.
I'm sorry that you never learned how to read. It's not my fucking fault.
So the first game is very much like like the narrative is kind of all over the place, I think. And the focus is primarily on the action and in Max just you controlling Max and like shooting bad guys. So I can't say for sure that this is where it was invented, but I feel like it's one of the games that popularized it. And they have bullet time, which I believe is a trademark term.
It is the first game of my knowledge to have it.
Right. So the whole hook of Max Payne is your ability to slow down time.
Okay.
To gain an edge in combat. So there's a lot of doing slow motion dives while like shooting two pistols at bad guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is then recharged by
Stranglehold.
Yeah, which is also a good game. But and so you have a meter that tells you how much bullet time you have, and that's refilled by killing more bad guys. And then you take damage. And then you heal yourself by taking painkillers, which it's funny because
Pain with a Y?
No, I feel like that's a waste. That's a missed opportunity. Though. But it's not the presentation of the story is not very grounded, right? And it's all very the whole thing is like it's kind of I think fantastical is the wrong word.
Phantasmic.
But everything is like very like exaggerated. Like from
Hyperbolic.
Well, I don't even think it's hyperbole either. I think it's mainly just like
But it's really like the comic book cutscenes of it are like pretty striking. Like they look good.
Yeah.
And they're very dark,
Yeah.
Like the whole game is very dark and gritty and like
yeah. Like man, Max Payne, Max has like a really low grovelly voice.
Which does not match Sam Lake's face at all.
It doesn't. Which is funny because
Is it the same voice actor for all three games?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first and during the course of that game, Max meets a woman by the name of Mona Sachs. She's a she's the like every good noir story has the femme fatale, right? And so she fits.
And normally it has a very suggestive name.
Sure. But she fills that archetype. And she's a contract killer who initially is at odds with Max, but then they form an alliance, and then that kind of complicates things a little bit. But then, so by the end of the game, Max ends up killing the person who is responsible for the death of his family, which becomes his goal. And he's less concerned about clearing his name and more interested in avenging his family.
Revenge.
Exactly. So, the second game is called Max Payne 2: The Fall of Max Payne, a film noir love story.
Mm.
And
Got the lady on the cover with him.
mm-hmm.
What consoles did that come out on?
PS2, both of them.
PS2, Xbox. There was also each game. They first Max Payne originally came out on PC, then it was later brought to consoles.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Anyway, but at the start of Max Payne 2, he's been reinstated on the NYPD. He's kind of just doing his job, like trying to be.
Should they have reinstated him?
Well, I mean,
No.
I mean, I guess that's subjective.
You
right?
don't reinstate somebody who takes the law into their own hands.
Yeah. But I mean, we're also living in a world where there are no rules, only
Gravelly voices.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so this one focuses, like as the name implies, this game focuses on the relationship between Max and Mona, because over the time they've kind of developed like a complicated romantic relationship. But then yeah, it is kind of hot.
Super hot.
Yeah. But then Max once again finds himself in the middle of a conspiracy with like
That boy always getting in trouble.
crooked cops
course.
and corrupt government officials and stuff like that.
Them too?
Yeah. All like the whole shebang.
Ugh.
So where the first game was very much kind of first game was very surreal in a lot of its presentation, especially like around the drug stuff. The second game kind of goes for a more cinematic feel. It goes for a more and they focus a little bit more on the narrative, especially concerning Max and Mona and like what their relationship is like, and it's also focuses on like Max. He's got guilt over his wife and daughter, and that conflicts with his feelings for Mona, and he feels guilty about starting a relationship with her.
Kind of on the nose.
In there.
Yeah. And they do a little bit more stuff around like the selection of weapons they give you. They give you more. They do more stuff like with. They try to do more stuff with. They update the character models, and they look a little bit more realistic, but not quite that realistic because limitations of hardware and all that. But they also do. They also give more a little bit more cinematic flair to it. Like one of the things that always stood out to me visually with those games, with Max Payne 2 specifically, is if you reload your weapon in the middle of a firefight while also in bullet time, then Max does this thing where he the camera like goes around him like
oh yeah,
Matrix style, and he spins around and like reloads the weapons in slow motion. It'll actually look pretty badass,
especially back then.
Yeah. So it was really cool, and but the narrative really came into its really kind of started to redeem itself as time went on, and it deals a lot with things. It deals a lot with like the feelings of guilt, and also like the idea of like the difference between justice and the law, and how ideally those two things are one and the same, but they're not always the same. And Max,
they're not? What do you mean?
And Max is like trying to kind of reconcile that, because he obviously cares about being a police officer, but he also very much cares about making sure that that the people who do wrong like pay for it. And then so once again he takes the law into his own hands, and
as is tradition.
Yeah, he very much takes the law into his own hands, and then everything spirals out of control. And
who could have ever?
Who could have predicted that would happen?
It's like every fucking late 80s, early 90s police drama movie, right? Like turning your badge, like that type of shit.
Yeah,
turn your badge and your gun.
And the thing about Max is that he the turning your badge moment never really happens. Because
well, it ends sadly, doesn't it? It ends in tragedy, does it not?
Right,
Like
so-
he becomes like a fucking alcoholic and shit and all that.
so that's
Well, isn't that more of a reason to turn in your badge and gun?
okay.
Well, no, Shanae. If you'd been listening this whole time,
But like he's an alcoholic.
Well, we're-
you're an alcoholic, but you're not turning in your Hulu badge.
stop doxing Shanae.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
Are you guys not allowed to talk about that?
No.
I mean, I don't think we like talking about where we work on the show.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just one of those things where we.
I mean, I don't know. You guys have never had a problem with it before.
We work
at
in
all?
Tommy's room.
That's right. That's right.
It's just one.
Like I had to sign an NDA.
Sure,
You know.
sure.
Like yeah.
So did I.
Okay.
Okay,
Fair
so
enough.
The thing,
So did I.
Nobody ever mentioned where Shanae works. All right.
I can't tell you secrets. I mean, I guess if anyone asks me, I mean, I do answer, so I guess like it could still get passed along.
Max Payne.
anyway,
But Max Payne.
So like that turn in your badge moment never really happens because everything in this world is presented like this is just a matter of course.
Right.
Like this is all going to happen. Like this is something that just happens.
But there is like a slow decline for the character, right?
So Max slowly like all this shit starts taking a toll on him, right? He finds himself near death, and at one point, like he's got the NYPD and also mobsters gunning for him, and he's also the only one he can rely on at this point, or the only one that he feels like he can even remotely trust is Mona, and she's on his side, trying to.
Is she on his side?
And see, that's another thing too, because
Is she?
there are times when their goals are at odds with one another.
Sure.
Tension.
It's Selena Kyle, Bruce Wayne.
Right. So so as Tom pointed out, like it does end in tragedy. Like Mona dies.
Spoiler.
Well,
Yeah, spoiler for an ancient game.
yeah. And by the way, if you haven't played Max Payne and have an interest in the story and listening or like going
We
through
spoiled the fuck out of Breath of the Wild last
Yeah.
week.
So like if you like this is not the episode for you if you
Yeah.
want to play through those games. But
Can we title this episode Max Payniac? I'm gonna take that as a no. I'm gonna take that as a hard.
I mean, Ryan does title the episode, so
if
it's on him.
I can't think of another title by the time it's time to label this episode, I will do Max Payniac.
Sure. The titular Payne.
Sure. So
Wait, is that not his name?
what?
Yeah, Max Payne.
That's his name.
Okay, I thought
The titular Payne.
Yeah.
I
He is
thought-
the titular Payne.
it was, but the comment you just made me doubt myself. I don't know the series.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
I don't know the series.
Neither do I.
there is a large
But
gap.
you know that he's named Max Payne
so
for real.
Max Payne.
I know a lot about it because I love Remedy.
Yeah.
You know?
Max Payne 2 and Max Payne 3, there's a kind of a large gap between those releases. And so within that gap, you have the Max Payne movie starring Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis.
What terrible casting.
Yeah. So Mark Wahlberg.
I like Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg is
but-
playing
When
Max
did this
Payne.
movie come out?
2009, 2010.
Something like that.
Let me IMDb that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find some funny pictures.
Yeah.
So you know how you've been doing like the panels for our thumbnails?
Yeah.
Do one of Marky Mark.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I can do that.
2008.
Sure. Okay. I guess that lines up. But anyway, so Tom and I before the show we were talking about.
What is this picture?
Let me see. Oh,
Why is there an angel behind Mark
that is-
Wahlberg, Max Payne?
Well, hold on,
Well,
Sinead.
could-
That's not an angel. That is a Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Because Max Payne has done the drug, a Valkyr.
Yeah, he's come to bring the pain.
Yeah.
Does he get addicted? Is that a storyline?
Well,
We've already spoiled everything. Wait,
well,
I imagine he would.
yeah.
who's this guy that has tattoos on
Let me
his
see.
face
Let me see.
and like
Let me see.
a Celtic symbol?
Let me
Let
see.
him see.
Okay, jeez.
I
trying
don't
to
know who
describe
that is.
I was trying to describe it for the people who are listening to us.
There was only one movie, correct?
Yeah, there was only one movie.
Because am I right or wrong? Didn't they do 2 Blood Rain movies?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know about the one
Okay.
with Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
And in case you're wondering, it's on IMDb. It's a 5.4 out of 10.
Not too bad.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
honestly better than I thought it would be.
sure. Ludacris is also in that movie.
Oh, that bumps it up for me.
That was
That bumps it up for me.
I
Word
thought
of
that
mouth.
was Ludacris.
Ludacris is in that movie as Chief Bravura, which is Max Payne's boss.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay, because I saw a picture and I was like, man, that looks like Ludacris. But I was like, if I say
Ludacris
that,
is also
and
in that movie.
if it's, and if I said it was I thought it was Ludacris in the movie and it wasn't, y'all would not have let me live it down.
Hey Tom, wake the computer up real quick.
Why?
Wake me
Just making
up
sure it's going.
inside.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So
Man, Mila Kunis is so fine.
Tom and I were
Yeah, she
talking
is.
about video game movies before the show started, and a lot of them, like, so we're talking, like, specifically, we talked. I think we mentioned the Silent Hill movie, and
We talked about Mortal Kombat,
Mortal
Street
Kombat.
Fighter, all that.
Yeah. So look, a lot of what they try to do is they try to take like what is believed to be like iconic or landmark aspects of the property, and then adapt them to film to inconsistent levels of success.
Well, with Mortal Kombat, it kind of works, right? Because like with that first movie, at least, right? Because like all you want to see is Scorpion throw the spear,
Right.
and you get that.
Well,
But
You know?
also, people aren't really playing Mortal Kombat for the storyline. I mean, yeah,
I mean,
like
now
some,
they are.
some people are like
Even
it.
now, I don't know that I'd go that far.
So I say some people like it, but
Yeah.
but like most, like I just don't think 90% of the people who play Mortal
Agreed.
Kombat is for the
Agreed.
the
so
storyline.
the luxury you have with making a movie out of Mortal Kombat is there's a lot of room to,
So I'm a little worried because the screen is frozen. Still says it's recording, so I guess we're gonna find out.
I guess we'll find out.
I mean,
when
we
I
could,
get to
we
the
could
end.
check it real fast.
How are we
Well,
gonna
I don't want
check
to
it?
stop the episode to check it.
Yeah,
Okay.
We'll see.
we'll see. And if not, I will just start over next time.
I mean, we're recording another episode tonight anyway. Sorry, guys. Continue.
Save continue?
No.
What was I saying? Oh, right. So
Movies.
a lot of the time with with a movie like Mortal Kombat, right? You have a lot of room to kind of fill in the blanks because there's story there, but like in those games, basically in every game before 9, that was kind of just background dressing, and there wasn't a whole lot of focus on the narrative aspect of Mortal Kombat until fairly recently. So you can take there are a lot of liberties that you can take with that. Like, just make sure that Scorpion is in the movie and you got yourself a Mortal Kombat movie.
Well, and
I mean, there was a canon there, but it was like very lore based
Yeah.
in the way that like Bloodborne is.
They basically,
oddly enough,
they basically, okay. So they're at the beginning of the first, in the demo screen of the first Mortal Kombat, like there's a screen that like lays down like what the premise of the game is. So
we call that the attract mode.
the attract mode. They basically
I
took
didn't know that.
the text from the attract mode, and that's the script. That's the entire
Yeah.
script.
Attract mode is like in an arcade. When,
Insert coin.
Yeah, it's what's running
Okay.
when no one's playing.
Yeah, to attract you
Okay.
to
Yeah.
the game, and most of the time it works for me anyway.
Works for me.
Yeah,
When it's Mortal Kombat, it
When
works
it's-
for me.
When it's Mortal Kombat or Alien versus Predator, yeah,
My experience with going to arcades with you guys, which is just the one arcade,
Yeah.
I would say that's accurate.
It included two Mortal Kombat games.
yeah. I played Mortal Kombat 1 in the arcade for the first
But-
time.
But y'all also stopped at other games that like the attract screen got your attention.
Well, it's like when you're at the casino, and you see like the right machine for you.
Well, I based it off movies that I was familiar with.
So you only play the licensed slot machines.
I played so we also did a one with like trying to figure out which slot machine had the girl with the biggest breast on it.
There's a pretty funny slot machine called Squirrels Gone Nuts.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of like Girls
Tom,
Gone Wild.
minimize it and maximize it.
Okay.
So yeah, like I played like Gremlins, and then I Ghostbusters, Batman, and then I also just played a lot with like a bunch of busty women on there.
Anyway, so Max Payne,
Oh yeah,
uh,
it has busty women. Well, at
not-
least one.
anyway,
Max?
Mona? Does Mona have boobs?
presumably. So that movie it basically does that thing where like they have a story that they can work with, and at some points they try to stick to that, but before long, and it's weird because like I guess the argument was there are certain things I don't know that well to film, but like that story would have adapted perfectly to film. Like there's almost nothing in Max Payne that you couldn't you couldn't do in live action.
Right. Or that hasn't already been done in live action
So
films.
like the deviations in the plot and everything around that they took were just like weird.
It was a writer's choice.
Yeah, it was a weird choice to make when the story as is was perfectly fine.
And you have to wonder with that stuff, right? Like at what level of funding does it become film by committee?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like Max Payne is at that level.
We'll see. And it's funny because like even
it was Max Payne was a big deal, but
Right.
like
I don't think it was like
like
really mainstream big deal though.
right.
So that movie like it takes like weird liberties and at like very quickly it becomes Max Payne in name only.
Well, I mean, he's got the jacket.
He's got the jacket. That's
The
true.
guns.
It has his jacket and the guns.
Kind of looks like it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But
I mean, obviously, it didn't do that successful. If I've never heard of it.
Well, what's funny is like, so I think I've talked about this on the show before. My freshman year of college, I took a freshman comp, as most people do. My freshman comp was basically a class on adaptation. We read the book, then we watched the movie, then we read the book, then we watched the movie. And I feel like that taught me a lot about adaptation and why productions can often, be far different from what you're expecting them to be and the reasoning behind that. With Max Payne, I don't get it though.
Yeah.
Like Ryan says, and having not played Max Payne, everything I've seen of Max Payne over the fucking decades at this point tells me, yeah, they probably could have just made that beat for beat.
Yeah. I would argue that if they had waited, I think that if they had waited for the third game, that could have been a better movie.
I just as you said, as somebody who doesn't know Max Payne, and then I'll let you get back into it because I don't know if this is where you wanted to go with your Max Payne conversation.
I'm loving it.
Is just genuine question.
Sure.
So you mentioned that the Max Payne story is not something that is new. Even when it came out, it wasn't new. The storyline. I
mean, it's it takes from other things, right?
I think that the method of storytelling used and like a lot of the themes like that are used in Max Payne are familiar territory.
Like if you look at it this way, right? Like think about this.
Familiar? Sorry, no. But my question is it familiar because of like other films and
mostly
other material? Yeah.
Yeah, or is it like familiar because of other games? Because I feel like maybe they. I mean, like I don't
think
know.
that they're borrowing from other games, and I think and Max Payne, especially in those first two games, is something that makes no secret about where it's getting its inspiration from. I think it wears that stuff on it. I think both the first two games like wear that stuff on this.
But in an original way, though, right? Like, because you can look at Max Payne and you can look at Grim Fandango,
right,
and say both of these games draw heavily from Casablanca, and they are completely different from each other,
right?
Right.
And I think that Grim Fandango and Max Payne are taking different things from Casablanca,
right?
Would you watch a Grim Fandango movie?
Absolutely, I would. Manny Calavera is fucking awesome. I love Grim Fandango.
Yeah. They'd screw it up, though.
Grim Fandango is the best point-and-click adventure ever made.
Yeah.
What if they made an animated movie? Would you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh,
as long as Tim Schafer was on board, I'd fucking absolutely.
I was asking more like towards Ryan.
An animated Grim Fandango movie? I mean, sure. Yeah.
Dude, DreamWorks Grim Fandango would be awesome.
It would. I agree. So now we're getting to the third and final game, which is also,
I know you love the third one.
Incidentally, is my favorite game, and it's not often.
I own all three of these, by the way.
It's not often that the most recent release in a franchise is my favorite.
Yeah,
like Resident Evil 2 is my favorite Resident Evil. And it's funny.
Wait, remake 2 or original 2?
Original 2.
Okay. You're one of those.
Yeah, I don't know. They're just like. It's funny because
I love the mansion. That's all.
Yeah, mansion is great. But anyway, so the thing about Max Payne 3 is that game's not made by Remedy, and it shows. Like it's immediately apparent.
Yeah, it looks like a GTA game.
Right.
Obviously, it doesn't play like one, but it looks like one.
So they use the Rage engine, which has been used in just their engine that they use for GTA.
Which is very confusing, by the way, because id calls their engine the Rage engine as well.
And I forget what Rage stands for, but Max Payne 3 is very much. It's funny because narratively and visually speaking, that game is more grounded. I think it's a more realistic telling. It's a more realistic telling of that kind of story. But but bullet time is still there. So, in Max
But
Payne,
it has to be, right? At this point, it has to be.
It's a staple. It's you
like
can't
we said, like neither of us can think of a game that did it before.
right.
So if they left it out, it'd be like, what the fuck?
Right. So Max is a different. He's a different character in this game.
He's bald now,
Well,
bearded now.
basically, so in the first 2 games, Max is always a flawed individual, but in the first 2 games, he always in some way thinks that he's in the right. He always thinks that he's the good guy somehow.
He's like a for hire now, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
so
mean, like most people in general think that they're the good guy in their own narrative.
so
Well,
I said most people in general.
I've done some things today.
yeah.
Okay,
There's things
cool.
there's things you don't know about Tom.
Yeah.
Things that would frighten you.
As far as like
Probably true.
I don't know, frightened, probably just disgust.
Okay.
Tom's a scary dude.
I don't know. I feel like he's more disgusting than scary.
So anyway,
It's a bit of both.
so Max Payne. So there, keep in mind all 3 games exist within the same canon.
Okay. So yeah, in end of 2, Mona dies.
Yeah. So
According to who, though?
Hmm?
They exist in the same canon according to who?
Whom?
well, I guess I don't understand the question.
It's because he probably
Like-
used who instead of whom.
They're in the same canon. Okay, so Rockstar is
So
picking up where Max Payne 2 left off.
Let me rephrase that. Max Payne 3 is like if I took over. Like Max Payne 3 is like this is where we imagine Max is now.
Right. Because in Remedy's
But
universe,
Remedy-
Max Payne 3 never happened.
Okay. Fair. But so by now Max is no longer a member of the NYPD.
Okay.
He is now
Shocker.
it's not clear what he's doing prior to the events of Max Payne 3. But at the beginning of Max Payne 3, he is now a for-hire bodyguard.
Okay.
The game he now lives
I didn't know he was a bodyguard.
yeah.
I thought he was like a mercenary or something.
He now lives in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Which is very difficult for him because he does not speak Portuguese.
Is Blanca there?
Blanc unconfirmed.
Okay.
I
But
feel like Portuguese is pretty easy to pick up.
sure.
Yeah, totally. Americans pick that up right away. Yeah.
I mean, Max seems like an accomplished guy.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to get my kids in bed. I'll be right back.
Sure. I want to wait for Tom. I'll wait for Tom to get back.
Well, fill time. Talk about
Sure.
something.
Sure.
All right. So, do other people who enjoy the Max Payne series also have the same opinion that 3 is great?
I couldn't say.
Because Tom seems like he thinks 3 is the worst.
Tom hasn't played enough of 3 to really say.
Yeah, so he said he didn't play much, but they seem to also have an opinion.
I don't think Tom has played Max Payne 3. Well, he's played it, but I don't think he's played much of it.
Do you personally think Mark Wahlberg was a good Max Payne?
I do not. I think Mark Wahlberg.
Do you think Mila Kunis was a good Mona?
I don't think any part of that movie was cast properly.
Wait, even Ludacris?
No, I don't think any part of that movie was cast properly. But I mean, it was.
Oh
made.
yeah, tuck your kids into bed means go get a beer.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah.
You bitch.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think Tom is right. Like I can't say that they take place in the same canon because that's probably not accurate. But I think that Max Payne 3 is the next logical step in that narrative. But anyway, so Max, as I mentioned before, Max in the first 2 games used painkillers to kind of restore his health, right? Well, now in Max Payne 3, he is addicted to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a good way to go with that.
I'm not laughing at addiction and because it's terrible and it takes many lives every year. But
It's funny that you had to include that qualifier.
Yeah, no one cares, Shanae.
I do think it's very funny. I think it's funny that they added it into the game because not many games do that.
It's the logical step, though. Like Ryan said, that's where they should go. Like, even if it's not part of the official canon, it's where they would naturally go.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So Max is like I said, Max is working as a for-hire bodyguard in Sao Paulo. a friend of like an old cop friend of his, like, I ran into him and was like, hey, I got this, like, we have something going on. I got like a good gig in Brazil. Like, I can get you on. You should come to Brazil with me. And like all you got to do is like just watch rich people and like nothing ever happens. It's fine.
So immediately more depth.
Yeah.
In the story.
Yeah. And that's context that you're given like halfway through the game. But by now Max just he just hates himself. Like he thinks he's like,
I can relate.
He's an alcoholic. He's addicted to painkillers. He thinks he cares not about himself. Like he wakes up, he lives to exist, and that's it.
He's Bad Santa.
Yeah, kinda. Except like less funny than that.
Yeah. Your name's Thurman Merman.
I'm on my fucking lunch break.
Yeah.
But so Max Payne 3 is very much it's a redemption story. And I'm a huge fan of those.
I was about to ask, did you feel like Max Payne needed a redemption story?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think Max had spent so long thinking of himself as this morally superior force of good, and in many ways he kind of became the people that he was out to like get rid of. And so like there's a lot of implication that at some point he comes to terms with like he's empty, and he doesn't feel like he has purpose. So which is what made the decision to move to Brazil to just be a bodyguard like an easy one for him. So at the beginning of the game, the game opens with like you're basically like just doing your job at some like this rich people party, and like all these rich, like all these Brazilian elite are there, like they're just like having drinks and having a good time, like doing blow and
hell yeah.
and Max is just looking on like with like he just like
It's like I was just popping pills right now.
well he's just looking on with like he's just like this cynicism that comes
Disdain?
with, well, not disdain, but like I think he's indifferent to most everybody.
Yeah. And why wouldn't he be?
And so he just
He's had a hard life.
and like so at the very start of the game, so one of the sort of background information, like Sao Paulo, Brazil, like and a crazy amount of kidnappings happen every year, right? So that's kind of so that's why,
Like in the real world?
yeah.
Okay. I'm not aware.
Yeah.
And virtually, both.
So at the beginning of the game, like these people, like these dudes show up to kidnap this like really rich dude, and so Max is immediately thrust into the responsibility of protecting him, and so naturally a gunfight ensues. He rescues the guy and whatever, right? And so then later on, the guy's younger brother is like, hey, I want to go to the nightclub, and I'm gonna take my sister and her friend, and we're gonna go to the nightclub and just hang out. And so dudes show up to the nightclub and like kidnap all of them, and like so Max is fighting his way through the nightclub, and
I remember this.
yeah. So the rest of the story is basically the story then becomes Max being like, all right, so like, you know, if like he's filled with this like self-loathing. He's like, I'm just fucking drunk. I'm an addict, and I just feel like I can't do anything right. And I just like, if I don't do anything else right, I need to get these people back. I need to save these people. And so as you go through the game, you also see how the presentation, the storytelling is different, right? Instead of those comic book stills as cutscenes, like they're actually like performance capture cutscenes, and you see like, and it gives it,
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know Rockstar did performance capture.
And so like they allow it, and it makes it so that you could like people are better able to emote, and you're able to, and it works because you can better connect with these characters, right? And so the whole story just becomes about Max, like, look, I need to save these people, I need to do whatever I can, but like through various like that path isn't linear, right? And there are like many times where he's like, as he's trying to do his job and as he's trying to do these things, like he stumbles sometimes, like he drinks too much and he's having a hard time keeping his shit together. And so like as things progress, like more people die like on Max's watch, and he's like, you know what, I need to, like, that's it, I'm done with the pills, I'm done with the drinking. That's at which point he shaves his head.
Why?
I think it's just like more like a
to be less Mark Wahlberg like.
It's a rebirth.
I think it's one of those things that he did to kind of like, this is me, like this is, I don't know. I think
it's like those things where like it happens to a lot of women. I've noticed, like anecdotally, is just like when you get out of a relationship, cut your hair, get a new style, like get on the prowl.
Sure.
So they and during this point, like Max remembers the chance encounter that led to him being convinced to go to Brazil, and you actually get to play through this flashback, and like
that's cool.
He's just like, he's sitting there drinking in this dive bar in New Jersey, and like,
And he has hair then.
Yeah, it's basically it's literally Max as he appears in Max Payne 2.
Right.
And he's just drinking and just sitting there like thinking about what a piece of shit he feels like he is.
Oh, you've talked to me about this scene before.
And I feel like it's one of the most powerful scenes in the game. But then then you get more context for why Max is where he is and how he ended up there. And then it brings you back to the present, and it's amazing how like Max realizes like what needs to happen. He realizes he gains this like focus. He has this moment of clarity.
Well, it's purpose, like you said.
Yeah, he finds his purpose, right?
Yeah.
And you start to wonder, like, who is he doing this for? Like, is this like
For himself.
right? Like it's very, very apparent. Like if it's apparent that like he's like, if, and he doesn't come out and say this, but like again, they're able to emote so much with it, and the writing is such like, if I can't save these people, if I can't save these people, then I'm undone.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for me to live. And he and I remember feeling there's a sense of desperation about like his quest to just get these people back, and the way that the gun, because the gunfights have like a much more visceral, like impactful feel to them, and like every gunfight feels like you're just trying to survive, and the desperation comes through in the gameplay, and it comes through in the way Max talks about this newfound purpose that he has, and you can tell how exhausted he is. Like he's just like, my life has been shit for the past 20 something years.
It's it's funny because like the way you talk about the gameplay of the game, and like the way that shooting feels, and him being kind of run down and exhausted, and even the footage I've seen of the gameplay of Max Payne 3 has always reminded me a lot of the Kane and Lynch series. Yeah, if you can call it a series.
Sure.
Just like haggard old bastard that like
yeah, and I've always found those kind of characters to be more compelling.
Sure.
I like those things, right? And because there's an implied adversity that comes with age.
Yep.
Especially in those kind of circumstances. And I forgot to mention, like during that flashback scene, like there's a really like, because Max realizes like, I gotta get out of New Jersey because these fucking dudes are trying to kill me. And like he has time to stop at his wife and daughter's grave, and he actually takes a moment to like apologize to them.
Yeah. And
it's just like, and things like that always like hit me really hard. So,
sure.
Apologies.
Well, Shanae, you know what I'm talking about. But like,
God, you're a brat.
Yeah. But it kind of it it grounds him in a way that I think is really effective.
Well, it shows his human side, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's the fucking Terminator.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, and like so so again, I'm not gonna. There's spoilers. I've given you a lot. So by the end of the game, only one of the people that he's trying to save is alive.
yeah.
And so you can tell like Max is like his level of desperation goes up because he's like, I have to protect this woman. You know, I have to make sure she gets out alive. And like all this crazy shit is happening around them, and it's just like, and he's just in the whole time. And like it's at the point where, because on one hand, like she's obviously traumatized, right? She's not used to being shot at. She's not used to like being in the middle of gunfights, right? But and at one point Max is like, hey, look, you're doing great. Like you just stay with me. And you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And at one point Max is like, because they get into a city bus and they're just trying to escape, and like so she's freaking out, and Max is basically like, shut the fuck up and just drive the bus while I shoot these guys.
Yeah.
And because he's like I have, because again.
Well, it's weird, right? For that character, like that type of character, to go from cheerleader to like realist.
Yeah.
You know.
And like so again it drives home like it's very much like if I don't save her, then I'm ruined.
Yeah.
And it by the end of that game, like the story arc is just wrapped up in such a good, like perfect way. Because I think that by the end of the game, like Max realizes that he's not as worthless as he believes himself to be.
Yeah.
And he seems to have like, I don't know if he has like a more optimistic worldview. I really doubt it, but I think that he is at this point where he's like, you know what, I can stick around a bit longer. It's just on one hand, like, and there's the contrast between Remedy's storytelling and Rockstar storytelling is very apparent. But
which do you prefer?
Honestly, I think I'm more of a fan of Rockstar's storytelling
In general, or just in this series?
I think in this particular series, because then you think about, because like I think that Remedy has they have a knack for the surreal,
and they've built a universe.
Yeah, they have a knack for the surreal, and it's in a way that is like, they find a way to make the surreal, I think they make it believable in some kind of very important ways.
Well, what they do with every game, and I can't speak to Control because we haven't played it yet, but like what they do with every game is take a genre you're familiar with, and do their own spin on it.
Right.
I guess I have a couple questions for you on Max Payne as a whole. You know, I got into Remedy with Alan Wake.
Sure.
And I love Alan Wake. And to this day, I can go back and play that game and enjoy myself. Then I played Quantum Break. Tried to go back to Max Payne. The first Max Payne.
Right.
And I only played about half an hour of it, but I don't feel like it's aged well. Do you feel like if I gave it more time, I could be into it? Do you feel like I would lose anything by jumping to the newest game in the series?
So that's the thing about especially Max Payne 1. I feel that game aged more rapidly than its contemporaries, right?
And it's an old game. To be fair, it's an old game.
I think I think the first Max Payne is like almost 20 years old now.
Yeah.
I don't think that Max Payne 1 has aged that well. I do think that Max Payne 2 fares a bit better.
But would I miss a lot jumping to 2?
I think that it would be.
Because from the way you described it early in this conversation was that Max Payne 1, the story was kind of just there to push the game forward.
Well, I did give him only 5 sentences.
Well, I think that it would be hard to appreciate the gravity of Mona and Max's relationship,
having not played 1.
But I think that you could still like by the end of it get an understanding of it, especially because there's like that is a crucial part of that story is their relationship. But I also feel like there's some other
like if I read the synopsis for the first one.
I think that you would just get just as much out of that. Yeah. And I also think that there are some plot points involving characters that weren't in Max Payne 1 that also make Max Payne 2 just compelling on its own.
Yeah.
And also like the thing about Max Payne 3 is the reason to play a previous Max Payne before Max Payne 3, the only reason to play either of those games before Max Payne 3 is just to have a context for who Max is.
Sure.
Because a lot, like Mona is not at all referenced in Max Payne 3.
Right.
and even like while that moment where Max stops at his wife and daughter's grave is, in my opinion, a very important one. It's brief,
and you can understand it,
right? It's brief,
right.
You can understand it, but also,
I mean, you explaining it, I understand it. You know,
it gives more context to why Max sees himself the way that he does. But I think that you can also enjoy Max Payne 3 like as a standalone experience.
And I don't want to do that. You know, I want to play 2. Like, I want to enjoy what Remedy has done.
I do think that you can skip 2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can skip 1 and just play 2.
I'm not as concerned with what Rockstar has done. You know.
Yeah.
And not because I'm not interested. You know, if I enjoy 2 enough, I'll go and play 3 for sure.
Right.
There's Rockstar games that I do enjoy.
Right.
But I guess that leads to my other question. You know, we've talked about Skyrim and Fallout and Chim, right? Like what Chim is in that universe. Don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but the insignificance to the actual what happens to you
right
throughout the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series.
Right.
And Max Payne is very much in the same boat in the Remedy universe, right? Sure. Max Payne is written by Alan Wake.
Right.
Does that change those games for you?
No, and here's why. And it's
because it makes me like them more.
It's hard for me to articulate this in a way that I feel is 100% true to what I mean, but as it stood, Max Payne was already a character written by somebody to me.
Sure. I mean, everything is, right?
Right. So knowing that Max Payne is the invention of another invention,
like to me, I love the Remedy universe, right, which is what makes me want to play Max Payne.
And I think that knowing that makes that universe richer for it.
Yeah.
Because I think that Max is, I think he's a very interesting character. I think that he's nuanced in ways that on a surface level it would be hard, because again, you like the first, like even like all of the games, you can just play them as just what they are.
Absolutely.
You just play them for what they are. Yeah. And I'm sure, like, if you like those kind of games,
I played Alan Wake knowing nothing about Max Payne.
Right. Well, I mean, you could just play them as like, you just play them as shooters.
Right.
And if you like shooters, then you'll have a fine time.
Sure, but like it's the whole genre take, right? Like you're talking about with noir, right? And then Alan Wake is very much Twin Peaks or X-Files or whatever you want to see it as.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that the universe that Remedy has established, especially considering the fact that like the ways that they are able to add to it over time and then make it and then interconnect it with everything else is fascinating. And I think that Max Payne being a part of that makes him a richer character.
Agreed.
So with that said, for you, Tom, I would say play Max Payne 2. You can skip 1 because Max Payne 1 is very much like a gonzo drug trip,
which I like that shit. But like it reminds me of, like, I recently tried to go back and play through Manhunt.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay.
And it just wasn't working for me.
But it's
on which console?
PC.
Oh, okay.
It's disjointed in a way that like you can separate 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And you can just start with 2 and go into 3. But yeah, I want to talk to you guys about Max Payne, but I feel like I never hear anyone talk about Max Payne.
It's definitely not a franchise that's remembered as well as it should be, right? Because even if you just take from a gameplay mechanic what bullet time did to third-person shooters,
right,
and even some first-person shooters, like it's not as appreciated as it should be.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and like it's a series that I probably would not have like looked into or like thought about at all. And I know I've yawned a couple times, but that's just because I actually
you're bored.
It's because I actually am tired.
Sure.
But
of talking about Max Payne.
No, but like hearing you talk about it and like be passionate about it makes me want to play the games or at least watch videos of them.
Yeah.
I am
before I had no interest.
So I've said this before, in that, you know,
you are the biggest Max Payne fan I've ever met. You know,
I am the only Max Payne fan that I know, but like I've talked about it before. Like as I get older, narrative means more and more to me. And
I can feel that.
And so like kind of dissecting those things and ruminating on them has made it is more of a priority for me. And I think that that Rockstar, like the writers at Rockstar, are very effective at what they do. One of the more interesting things about Max Payne to me, as far as a narrative standpoint, is I think a lot of the time what we're used to is the social commentary satire that is the Grand Theft Auto series. Like that's probably their most prominent IP, and that's all just like,
well, the majority of their IP is satire.
Yeah, and it's just satire, to Max Payne is so different tonally that I couldn't help but pay attention to that.
Yeah. Because like Bully is my favorite Rockstar IP, right? If you can call it IP. But like that's like the barest bones Mad TV version of Holden Caulfield you could do. Sure.
And you could even, and I think that Manhunt is also satire in and of itself. It's how tasteful it is debatable, but it is satire.
Yeah.
And I think that too. I think that when the Housers are in a mood to get serious with something, and form a team, and form a writing team where they want to tell a serious narrative, they are very effective storytellers. I saw it with Max Payne. I saw it with Red Dead. Like Red Dead actually was probably one of the greatest video game stories I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And so to see that's why Max Payne has always stood out to me, because I think it's more. I think Max Payne is more than the sum of its parts. So in conclusion,
Play Max Payne.
You don't have to, but I think that
play Control.
I think that you are. I think to wholly ignore it, you would be doing yourself a disservice.
All right.
So thank you for coming to my Max Payne talk.
I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Last week or the week before, we did our first deep dive on a specific game, and you doing a franchise. It's neat because it's almost a retrospective. Yeah.
I think Max Payne 2 came out.
It's educational, if
Max
nothing
Payne 3
else.
Came out in 2012.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You have made me want to play Max Payne more than I've ever wanted to play Max Payne.
I have it on that there computer.
Yeah, I probably still won't play it, just to be real honest.
Sure.
I just want to play Control.
Well, was that 6 months from now?
I have no idea.
I don't think it's that long. I think it's pretty soon, actually.
But it is super interesting still to hear about it from somebody who isn't really into it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys saying so. I think it is important to look at video games I think it is important to look at them critically. I think it is important to think about what stories are being told in these games. And you don't have to, but I think that they're there for a reason.
Well, it's funny because I think it depends on the game, right?
Sure.
And like you said with Max Payne 1, the story is just there to drive the game forward.
Yeah.
Whereas it evolves into a deeper story
as
the series goes on.
And I don't mean that as a jab at the writers of the first Max Payne by any means.
Well, no, it goes deeper than saving the princess, right? Yeah. But other than that, but that's indicative of the time it was made.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, if you want to let Ryan know about your thoughts about Max Payne, and if you also love it. You can reach out to us on.
I also would like to hear from you if you hate it.
Yeah, if you hate it too. And basically all social media, Discord. We got a page for that. Obviously, you're listening to us on whatever app or whatever you're listening to us on.
iTunes. Most people listen to us on iTunes.
Yeah, so I figured. But yeah. So that was our talk this week, and if you want to reach out, go ahead and do that. And I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, reach out to me.
Reach out to Tom.
I'm very accessible.
So is Ryan.
I can be. I might put my
watch the Max Payne movie.
Tell us what you should watch that movie. If nothing else, but I think you should watch that movie.
Don't.
Yeah, don't play the game.
Don't.
No, wait.
Watch the movie.
Don't watch the movie by itself. play
Don't.
the game and watch the movie, or just watch the movie. I don't give a shit.
I do that.
Yeah, I'm ending
It's
this
It's
now.
probably.
I mean,
I'm going to assume Shot in the Dark, assuming it's on Crackle.
Bye, guys.
I bet
Bye,
it's
guys.
on Crackle.